Hello, everybody. This is once again your host, The Python, for my second edition of our weekly podcast for fantasy baseball. So this week I got another exciting show for you. I've got the former commish of this league, the DC Fabiz Tylerko, as my special guest. And I'm also going to give you the rundowns and the scores for week 2 and how the politics are shaping out so far. So let's get right into it. So first we had Rollins got defeated by Kaneki the Dark Panther. Once again, Kaneki the Dark Panther had another great week, scoring 334 points. He's been on a roll lately, just dominating at 2-0 with great amounts of points each time. Then another 2-0 team, the Big Man, defeated the Villain and his co-manager. So this time he had a little more points to his total. Instead of scoring 240, he got well past the 300s for his victory. Hard earned this time. Myself picked up his first win, defeating the Court Jester of the Authority. Pretty handily, if I do say so myself. So if I can't beat Rollins, well, I'll just beat his security guard. Then the former back-to-back champion defeated the Rager with the most points in the league with 339. So, good start for him, and he's looking to get back on track and win the pot of money. Then the King himself blew out the SpongeBob Fanatic. Not the highest score, but still a blowout nonetheless for the King, and what do you expect? He's the King, that's the way he wins. And then, Two Noodles and his co-manager, who's my guest later on, defeated their leader of the Revolution in that matchup. So even though they're in the same group, they still have to battle out against each other. And as you saw, Fabiz Tylerko and Two Noodles did not hold anything back. So those are the scores of the matchup. Now let's get into the politics. So the reason I have Fabiz Tylerko as my guest is because he's been very vocal in calling out the commish, King Kyle. He's made various posts of saying this league is AIDS. He's got about 7 of those where he complains about the recent mishaps. So that's been going on, and he's just been very upset because when he was commish, everyone was always on his case, complaining about every little detail, and he doesn't feel like the King's getting the same treatment. He says people are okay with the King cheating. And I just like to have fun with him. I mess around with him, and you'll probably hear some of that later on when he comes up. But he feels some other people aren't taking it seriously enough, so he's trying to make an impact and make sure the King gets his rightful punishment. So, in fact, he's even put up, is the King a cheater poll, for whatever that reason that's up there. I don't know what that's going to accomplish, but he put that up there, so we'll see how that vote turns out. I don't know if it's going to be enforced or if it means anything. And he's also said the Authority in general is racist and against minorities. So he's making some bold claims there, though not completely justified. They're still there, and they could be taken that way by the Revolution. And the Authority has said they want to sit down and just diplomatically handle the situation, but I'm not sure if the Revolution and Fabiz Tylerko is all for that idea. I guess we'll find out when they come up, but so that's what's going on. The rest of us hanging around. I've started my random post of the week. That's always a fun time for everybody. And so that's gotten started, and it hasn't drawn up too much discussion yet, but I'm sure it will. And so that's basically it about the politics of the league. So if you don't mind, I'll take some time to go over some other things I'd like to say. If you like this podcast, you want to see other things I've done on YouTube, I have a cameo appearance in Christmas Crush promo. I have a brief appearance in that. I'm also the co-host of Minecraft Brawlers Universe videos. So if you love hearing my wonderful voice, you can go hear me there. And my first edition was if you search up Cardone Morrow and type in Georgia, you'll find me in my younger days. So that's it for my self-promotion. And that's basically it from the politics and the scores of the week. When I come back from the break, you'll have my guest, Fabiz Tylerko.
Pikachu! Pikachu!
And we're back from the commercial break, and I'm here with my guest this time, the former DC and current Revolutionaire, Fab is Tyler Co.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. It's an honor to have a former commish here. So let's get down to the questions, because this one has to do with how you got out from the commissioner spot. So how did it feel to be the only commissioner ever impeached?
It was hard to accept at first, but eventually, I would say I would say I got over it, but I'd be lying.
All right. So how do you think your concussion at that time factored into the situation? No comment. I see.
Yeah, no comment.
Basically, what happened was we were playing football, and I kneed him in the head, and he got a concussion. So, and then he was not 100% defending himself during the impeachment. So he doesn't remember too much about that. So we'll get into the other questions that he knows about. We know you refused to be an active competitor this year, but why did you not make a separate league for yourself and some of your allies?
Well, I felt like that would be too much work to balance both of the leagues, and I would not want to deal with that.
Lazy. Will you ever rejoin the league as an active competitor?
As long as Kyle is in the commissioner's spot, I will not participate in his league.
So as long as the authority and the king are in power, DC will not be an active competitor. He'll stick to co-managing Two Noodles. So on the post boards recently, you've been very blunt in calling the king a cheater. Please, the floor is all yours. Give your mind on why you think he's a cheater. All yours.
Okay, so as we know, I was kicked out of the commissioner spot, and as a result, a constitution was made with rules that the current commissioner, has to follow. So, at the beginning of this league, Kyle here broke a rule in the constitution multiple times after the first time. And currently nothing is happening, so I'm just trying to understand why that's.
Let's get into the Grand Slam controversy. I know you've been very loud about that, so what's your position on what's happening there?
Well, recently my player has been awarded the points for the Grand Slam, so I'm pretty happy about that, but not really happy that the commissioner hasn't said anything about that.
Well, anyway, so as you can see, he's very vocal on the post boards. But my favorite quote out of fantasy, we're just walking down the hallway one day, and we come across the king, and you scream this just in the middle of the hallway. Here's the quote. I don't want to be in your league anyway, kid! In the middle of the hallway, the king had no idea what was going on. What was going through your head at that moment?
It was just heat of the moment. Just came to my mind, so I just had to say it.
Love it. I love that stuff. So the king, he was on my last podcast. He stated he'd be willing to sit down with the revolution and work things out. Are you and the revolution willing to do this diplomatically, or are you going to leave the king hanging and continue to battle it out like this?
I'll have to discuss that with my fellow allies later.
All right. They both decided on that topic to keep it low down. The authority doesn't want to share their plans. The revolution doesn't want to share their plans. So standard stuff going on here. Some like yourself say the king broke the oath and the constitution like you stated earlier. As proper punishment, he should be banned from all fantasy leagues. Are you actually going to hold the king to that and do whatever you can in your power to keep him out?
Yes, he broke some fantasy rules, so I think some reprimands are in order.
You are the commissioner of fantasy football, so are you not going to send an invite to the king for that league as well?
I will not.
Wow. Okay, that's going to get heated. So, but that's fantasy football. This is fantasy baseball, so let's get back on track. And for our final bold question, what lengths are you willing to go to get rid of the king and the authority? Don't hold back. Don't give me the political response. I want the honest truth. How far are you willing to go, DC?
That's a good question. Let's just say that this league will never be the same.
So 2 major quotes based on these last 2 podcasts. 1, the king is going to make it interesting, and the Revolution's DC, Fab is Tyler, said the league will never be the same again. So you can obviously see that they're not trying to tell me everything, because as a dangerous neutral competitor, I don't have a right to know. And as the people not involved or involved, you don't have a right to know. So if you're not in the authority of the revolution, you're just going to have to wait and see what these two groups got in store for us. So that is the end of this podcast. I am the Python. Show off.
The commissioner's a cheater.